Welcome back to the Abundance Alchemist, your quiet space to remember who you are. Tonight we speak softly about why you never feel ready, guided subconscious session, not as a goal to chase, but as something your soul already recognizes. There's a familiar ache in the question that circles your heart. Will it ever feel like enough? Will you? That soft doubt, persistent, gentle as breath, shows up in the spaces between action and longing, waiting for some proof that it's finally time. But what if readiness was never a gate you were meant to open? What if arrival and unfolding could be the same thing? Feel the hush in this moment, where you don't need to earn your place by becoming more. Just listen, as though comfort is curling around you. Word by word, what if you've never actually been broken? What if your softness was the wealth all along? Maybe there is no prepared enough. Only 1,000 secret ways you've already arrived. Is the ache of not being ready just your soul's quiet way of reminding you you're alive, sensitive, awake to possibility? Are you sure you want the old story to follow you into your sleep tonight? Let your body rest into the gentleness that's here. Stay, while we remember together that readiness was never missing, only misunderstood. Let tonight be the first night you breathe as if you belong to your own unfolding. There is a certain ache stitched into the waiting, a weight that sinks beneath skin and spirit alike when you are taught to believe readiness is some distant island, always further than the water you can swim. Nobody speaks about the heavy hush between wanting and deserving, how quiet your hope becomes over time, whispering down alleys of must and maybe until it barely knows its own name. Sometimes the yearning feels sticky, a slow burn somewhere behind the ribs, not loud, only lingering. This ache, this slow motion ache, weaves itself through mornings you wake, remembering every reason you are not enough, every way you were taught to hold back your yes, to pause your joy, to keep rehearsing the same timid dance of almost. There is a stubborn tenderness in that emptiness, a secret bitterness that grows from believing your wholeness is a password you just haven't guessed yet. Nights become longer somehow, filled with questions nobody can answer for you. When will it be safe to stop waiting? When does the soul get to rest from holding its breath? Shadows pile up where you have pressed yourself against invisible walls, waiting for a sign, an opening, permission from someone else. It is such a lonely thing, the wait to feel worthy. Even celebrations start to feel hollow, as if the world is happening in another room, and you are looking through the keyhole, counting how many versions of yourself must be reinvented before it's finally your turn. Maybe the heart grows tired because it is so good at believing the rules. Maybe dreaming becomes ambitious work, a series of half-steps and wishes that lose their shine in the slow erosion of patience. The ache is not dramatic, not tragic, just a gentle hum of not yet that settles into your bones. But in the silence that follows, there is sometimes a flicker, something very soft, a memory of aliveness, of play. You can almost feel the warmth of all the versions of you still waiting in the wings, already whole, just tired of asking for permission to come home. Desire is a silent language you spoke long before memory. A room with no walls you lean into at night, waiting for the world to hush so you might remember the shape of your wanting. It's not loud, even if you sometimes pretend it is, or chase after more obvious distractions, just so you can forget that steady flicker inside, the longing to matter, to begin, to be met. Sometimes the ache feels too tender. The wanting is private, sacred sweet, a prayer curling toward the edges of your heart, even as you try to tuck it away. Maybe you wonder if you're foolish for wanting at all. Maybe you remember the voices that told you less was safer, and gentleness was only for after the work was done. But want is not a flaw. The ache is not a problem. It's the first note of the music, the seed before the green breaks through. You are permitted. The universe wove itself so you could desire. It gave you softness that dreams, hunger that listens, curiosity that refuses to close its hand. The wanting inside you does not have to earn its place. It is part of what brought you here, resting in this quiet space, letting your shoulders unclench for the first time in days. There is an ache for more, sometimes sharp, sometimes quiet. For a love that meets you, for ground that feels safe enough to dance upon, for new seasons in the story of you. The ache is a sign you are alive. It's the thread that connects one dawn to the next, a reminder you are still on your way. When you listen beneath the noise, does your desire sound like longing, or does it feel like a secret hope, half-whispered, too shy for sunlight? Does it ask, could life really be gentle for me? Do you let your heart hope, even in the smallest way? Let it move through you tonight, this gentle ache. Let it warm the spaces that feel empty or hidden. What you want does not need proof or validation. Your soul remembers what it came here for, the words it wanted to say, the soft places it wanted to rest, the generous breath it wanted to be met with. You are not too much to want. You are not too late to begin. You are not wrong to ache for something you cannot yet name. The whisper inside you is holy, older than the stories that told you to shrink. Even as you drift towards sleep, you are allowed to keep desiring, to start remembering, to receive softly. Now, as if your whole life has been waiting for just this permission. Some nights when the world is quiet and shadows stretch across old memories, the ache of being seen rises up like a sudden chill. It's the sensation of stepping into moonlight barefoot, uncertain if the ground will be soft grass or the sharpness of cold stone. There are parts of you that flinch at being revealed. There are echoes from childhood that whisper, wait, not yet, too soon, let the world see a safer version, a smaller spark. It's the old ache that wonders if being visible is the same as being left alone. If shining too brightly means someone will turn their eyes away and forget to return. Maybe you know this dance, wanting to step forward, heart unclenched, but feeling as if every eye holds a question you can't answer. What if they see the part of me that still wishes they could hide? What if my arrival is out of sync with the welcome, the fear of too much, too fast, the wish to touch abundance, but not at the cost of tenderness, not at the price of being cracked open before you're ready? Sometimes it feels like the moment you let light find you, old fears line up at the door. The ones that say, what if I'm not enough for what I'm calling in? What if the world has been waiting for someone stronger, more certain, or quieter, disappearing? You lie still in the dark, but underneath, your whole being aches to belong, even as it wonders if this belonging will ask for more than you can give. This fear is tender. It comes wearing the clothes of protection. It might sound like wisdom or even caution. It hides in the creases between dreams and waking, where possibility and pain both flicker for your attention. It is not a mistake that you feel this. It is not a failing or a flaw. It is the old intelligence of the nervous system, whispering, maybe it's safer to be small, maybe your softness was safest kept hidden, so no one could break what was precious. But you are here, still listening. Still letting yourself be met by this night and this question. Is it really too soon? Or is it just the ghost of the past, asking to be noticed, asking if you will let your heart be seen, even by yourself, for once, without shrinking away? Rest here, let the fear be part of the fabric, not a blockade. Every time the waves of not enoughness rise, let them pass through. Let them find shoreline in your quiet. You are not the fear alone. You are also the ache beneath it, the desire to be loved for what hurts and what sings. And perhaps this night you let someone, maybe only yourself, watch you step quietly into the field of real visibility. Now, just for a moment, just this breath. The part of you that wonders if it's too soon is exactly the part ready to be held. Somewhere in your body, the story begins again, a small ache in the chest, or the pulse beneath your skin that knows rest is never truly secure. In the quiet, when the outside world hushes, it calls up memories, the times you waited, holding your breath for permission you already had, the readiness that never quite arrived but insisted you stay watchful just in case. The loop that whispers, if I prepare a little longer, perhaps there will be space for me. If I can prove myself in a softer way, maybe safety will remember where to find me this time. Quiet as rain slipping down a window, this is not a fault line. It's a shape made over years, by hands that thought guarding meant deserving, and effort meant enough. It's not your mind's whispering, but something lower, woven by a body that learned so young how to wait, not as patience, but as proof of belonging. Sometimes it hums beneath decisions, shaping how you show up, what you offer, what you keep to yourself, wishing for a nod that might never come. Tonight, maybe the ache feels like an old friend. Maybe you remember how often you paused. One more bit of evidence, one more way of being quiet or useful or generous, as if the right combination would finally unlock the welcome you already deserved. There is such sweetness in the longing, and sometimes a dash of shame, knowing how much you have prepared for the life that never asked you to shrink. But you are not broken for waiting. The loop is older than you, an inheritance shaped by people who also loved and feared at once. There's no need to criticize the pattern that kept you close to worthiness, even if it never quite delivered the promise. It is simply here, the way breath rises and falls, the way night follows dusk, the way hope returns even when the evidence is thin. Sometimes in the dark, you ask yourself why the waiting won't end, why proving is never proof. It is tender to notice the way you prepare endlessly, as if life itself needs a witness, a plea, a final test, when maybe all along existence has quietly longed for your softness to arrive, untouched, whole already enough. There's a subtle ache that lingers, this sense that before you can step into the next moment, something inside must be more prepared, more polished, as if readiness is a distant shore and you are caught, knee-deep in the tide, waiting for a signal to move. But what if it isn't readiness you crave, but a gentle permission to just be here, to respond to what is calling now, imperfect and whole at the same time? This matters because the longing to be ready is really an echo from old stories, handed down or silently gathered, convincing you that only the prepared are worthy, only the certain may begin. But the soul remembers differently. The soul knows beginnings are soft, like first light easing into a quiet room, like the hush before rain, like the inhale before a yes. It's the baby bird on the branch, trembling but trusting its wings before the air ever proves it. It's the artist pressing brush to canvas before the vision is clear, letting the colors teach her what's true. It's the lover reaching across a silent space, not because courage was fully formed, but because longing outgrew hesitation. This is how life whispers, response is enough. The universe moves for those willing to move, even if the steps are not certain, even if the voice shakes. You don't need to be more ready than you are in this moment, just willing to answer what tugs at your heart, to trust that whatever meets you next will find you responding, awake and present, as you always have. You sense the quiet ache of waiting, and the mind insists, time and again, that maybe you'll be ready once the right sign comes, once you finally feel different, once life rearranges itself just so. There's a story you were handed. Somewhere along the way, that readiness sits on a mountain top, only earned by the persistent, but every part of your softer knowing whispers that you've been devoted for longer than you realize, and it is that quiet, daily devotion that weaves readiness through your bones, not the other way around. This matters because there is no distant finish line. There is only the soft pulse inside your chest that keeps showing up despite doubt. Despite every imperfect moment, despite the times you wish to be anyone but you, that pulse is devotion. Readiness flows behind it like a gentle stream follows the riverbank. Think of the sunflower. It does not wait to be worthy of light before it turns. It simply lines, day after day, toward whatever warmth appears, and in that trust the sun meets it. Or imagine the hands of a child, sticky and unsure, giving their best attempt at tying shoes. They rarely get it right on the first try, but the devotion to trying, to being present, is the quiet force that teaches their fingers how to move. Readiness arrives somewhere along the way. Never before. Sometimes devotion is small, like leaving the porch light on for yourself after a long day. A soft promise to return, even when you feel tired, even when shadows stretch across your threshold. You don't need to be fully ready to cross it. Your willingness is the invitation. Readiness is the river that finds you because you kept showing up with your heart in your hands, even when you doubted it was enough. The soul can only ever meet itself where it is, not yesterday, not someday, just here, just the quiet, unfinished now. There is nothing arriving late in this moment, nothing misplaced. You are always stepping onto the path as the path is forming beneath your feet. Sometimes it might feel like the story started without you, that you missed some ancient cue meant for a braver, brighter self. But the truth has never been about readiness waiting at a distant door. Readiness is just you, breathing and willing, palms open, this very heartbeat. Nothing has begun without you, because your arrival writes the beginning. Why does this matter? Because the ache of feeling late seeps in so quietly, making you forget how the moon moves, always right on time, even behind 1,000 clouds. You've never disappointed your destiny, not once. The soul pulses in a rhythm too deep to rush, too ancient to be hurried by clocks, and it's okay if some part of you aches for permission to begin again. That ache is the invitation. You are the river that forgets it is flowing until it recognizes the reflection of its own light, shimmering just beneath the surface. You are the garden that blooms once and then again, never apologizing for returning to the sun on its own cycle. You are the child stepping onto warm summer grass after rain, each footstep new, every moment held. Nothing in nature believes it should arrive sooner, even the stars linger before they fall. Tonight, as you slip towards sleep, let this remembering settle all the way through your body. There is no timeline you've missed, no secret train leaving without you. The place where you stand, with all your not yet, with every almost, this is the readiness your soul chose all along. Breathe here, let the ache unwind. Let yourself belong, exactly as you are, in the soft miracle of now. The world outside dims behind eyelids. Memory of what was urgent softens in the hush that lingers here. There is no need to push or pry. It is enough just to let quiet carry you. Tonight, as breath falls slower and thoughts loosen in the dark, something ancient emerges between the spaces. the steady truth that you have always been enough to begin. Rest comes in the gentle way water fills a hollow place, unhurried and complete. You recall echoes from nights and moments before, softness mistaken for lack, stillness held up for examination, beginnings circling endlessly in the mind, but even now, none of those stories ask for your vigilance, they ask only for your kindness. The ache for proof and permission recedes like a tide. Somewhere inside, where no words are needed, you feel the first rhythm again, like leaves turning quietly at dusk, like the soft measure of breath in fog, like stars blinking patiently above rooftops. There is no checklist here, only the silent knowing that starting need not be earned, and enoughness was never outside reach. The moon is high and gentle tonight, remembering all it has seen. The wind moves, and you remember, too. It is strange how old patterns lose their grip in darkness. The fear of not measuring up dissolves in the room's warm hush. The endless loop of waiting for the right moment fades beneath your ribs. All the places you once tried to hide, their edges blur, their stories slow, their truths become invitations for mercy. Sometimes it takes deep night to hear that you were never needing to be more. You find yourself cradling the pieces you thought you had to outrun, welcoming them as you would a tired friend. There is no judgment, only the faint melody of forgiveness that hums beneath bone and skin. Each breath a kindness, each exhale a loosening, each remembered ache, softened by time, surrendered to the steady lull of enough. The language of integration is not taught, it flows from the quiet roots of presence. The way dew beads along grass at dawn, the way old clocks tick in empty rooms, the way the body forgives itself while you sleep. These moments pass unseen yet change every part of you. To rest is to allow them passage. And to listen is to become whole again without effort. As sleep steadies your heartbeat, the promise is simple. You do not have to begin again from scratch. The enoughness to start, to exist, to unfold is an inheritance stitched into you. In the silent expanse of night, this truth comes home. Soft as moonlight, certain as breath, always yours. Let's take a gentle, drowsy breath together, like you're gathering your whole story in the cup of your hands, letting nothing spill, just holding it softly under moonlight. Imagine, as you inhale, every part of you that ever doubted, that ever waited for an outside signal, a green light, or a sign that it's time, is welcome here. And as you breathe out, watch all the old stories fade, slow as a tide leaving the shore, making room for deeper knowing. Rest feels like the safest permission, the kind of permission that doesn't need to be spoken or earned, the kind that belongs to you because you're alive, because your breath keeps arriving, moment after moment, night after night. Drop into your body, right here, no fixing, nothing to prove. Feel the heaviness in your limbs as sacred, your softness as holy. Every inhale affirms you are already worthy. Each exhale reminds there's nothing left to chase. Picture yourself wrapped in silken light, the kind that only comes when you surrender to sleep. Worth doesn't tap you on the shoulder and wait to be noticed. Worth is the quiet warmth that's always been pulsing beneath your ribs, steady as your own pulse. Permission isn't outside of you. It's woven into every sleepy blink, every sigh, every moment your eyelids flutter, almost closing, almost letting go. If a part of you is still waiting for the world to grant a wish, let that part come lay beside you. Let it breathe the same quiet air. Let it feel, maybe for the first time, that waiting is over. Divine timing isn't a date on a far horizon. It's the soft rightness blooming in your chest the deeper you rest, the more you allow just as you are. You belong to this now, to this softness. to the holiness of not needing to become, but simply surrendering into what has always whispered beneath your skin. With every breath, every heartbeat, you become more and more the truth you've never lost. This is a welcoming home. This is being the